Hi guys, welcome back to Anadialogue, the dialogue on analog music reproduction. In this episode, we're going to take a look at an audiophile procedure to make very high quality discs, albums, vinyl records. Want to know more about it? Coming up. Okay guys, today we're going to talk about direct-to-disc, D2D recording. What is that? It's a special standard procedure that actually is mainly connected to audiophile labels. Well, let's take a step backward. First of all, we must remember that before analog tape, around the 20s of the past century, all recordings were direct on something, starting from the wax cylinders of Edison all the way to the first acoustic recordings. Remember those? So, actually, our first step in reproduction, music reproduction, is a direct-to-disc, cylinder, or whatever it is. Then, finally, as I said, during the 20s, finally, analog tape revolutionized the whole environment, we could say, the whole process, with high quality recordings where you could obviously try to change and master and mix and do the first retouching of a signal, which I do agree, I do understand it is necessary in several cases, besides having a ready source, a master, where you can do more versions, more additions, more repressings. So that's fundamental. But after this first stage, in the 70s, we went back to this process. And today we have a resurgence. That's also why I think it's interesting to discuss about it, because there isn't that much to say actually. But back in the 70s, you know guys, the best music comes from the 70s and all the different experimentations they did. They went back to this fantastic type of recording because it is a recording solution. What is it? Very simple. There are the artists that are playing their music, and the sound, which is combined obviously with mixers, preamps, etc., is sent directly to the lathe in order to cut the lacquer. So you're ready to cut immediately the lacquer. What is evidently the pros about this types of solution? Well, obviously you have a very short signal chain. You're bypassing analog tape. You're bypassing, even today, any kind of digital recording software and gear. I mean, the sound is taken directly from the mix. As I said, there's a little bit of processing just to enhance the signal, but then sent directly to the cutting head, which is something very cool and something very difficult to do. Not everyone can do that. In fact, there are some labels that do it, but they're reasonably, I do understand this, a little scared of what could happen. I mean, if the dynamic range is a little too strong, you're going to have some issues. So I think they probably lower things a little bit. They soften things a little bit, and the results is not that good. Might as well don't do it. We'll take a look afterwards to some important labels of the past and today. So we have a short signal chain, we have very little manipulation of the sound, and as you can imagine, we have exceptional dynamics and exceptional low noise floor. It's amazing when things are done properly. So don't think that direct-to-disc is automatically fantastic. No. Okay, so let's take a look to the main, we could say, labels of the past that were doing this type of recording. I'm just going to mention the most famous ones. I'll put some random images for each label. It's up to you then to go and find these labels. I can say which I think are among the best in this short list, because as you can imagine, there are lots and lots. So among the most famous, we have RCA, who did a few, Century Records, Nautilus. Well, Nautilus is very famous. I mean, they made excellent recordings tout court. I mean, almost all of their catalog is very high quality. Direct Disc Labs, which I guess dedicated, I don't know, I haven't heard anything from them, but I know they made a few releases, and they were specialized, obviously, as you can imagine, on that. Very good M&K Real-Time Records, also Crystal Clear Records, several good titles there. Sonic Arts, Telart did a lot, did a good number, but the list cannot be completed if you do not mention the top of the tops. At least I think so, and several other people I think would agree with me, which is Sheffield Lab. Oh my God, guys. I mean, Sheffield Lab is truly outstanding recordings throughout their catalog. We've already mentioned them when we were talking about even high fidelity cassettes, because they did high fidelity cassettes. Here is a link to that video. And the genius behind this is, unfortunately, recently gone, 2015, Doug Sachs was one of the best engineers we had, mastering technicians back in the days up and recently. So he also, together with other people, created that label and did amazing things. And in particular, I must say that their direct disc recordings are mind-blowing. Really, try to get your hands on those. Here I'm going to put some images while I'm talking. And among all, I would like to make just one single suggestion, which is one of my favorite records. If I have to choose 50 records from the famous Desert Island, I think this one would be with me. What am I talking about? Thelma Houston and Pressure Cooker. I've Got Music with Me. Oh, baby, the groove, the funk, the rock, the jazz. This is just pumping. It's just live. It's amazing. It's amazing. A lot of direct-to-disc recordings, as you can imagine, also had a signal going to a tape recorder in order to do other copies in the future. So you're going to find this also on CD, as you know, and cassettes, etc., and also repressings from the analog tapes, because you can't do direct-to-disc always. This is an original press from the, I don't remember the year, 1975. And this is the original direct-to-disc pressing, as you can see here. Very, very cool. But also the other recordings they did to the analog. When they always used the masters to have high quality media, like the cassettes, other repressings of the vinyl. Even the CDs are very good. So if you find stuff from good old Sheffield Lab, you're in good hands, okay? You're in very good hands. And unfortunately, these labels are starting to disappear from our memory. So that's why I think it's important to talk about these. So, as I said, there's also a resurgence of this technique, which is something good, I think. So let's try to explore a few labels that are currently releasing, not that many, but they are releasing a few records done in this with this method. So we have Chasing the Dragon, which is a pretty famous label. They're doing also a lot of analog recordings on masters and selling the direct masters. I'm not a big fan of the recordings. In any case, they do a lot of recordings this way, and they're decent. I mean, they're not mind-blowing. This is the only other record I'm going to show you. I just wanted to show you a good example and a not-so-good example. I mean, it's a good record, but it's not mind-blowing like this. It's not just the technique. It's not just the method. It's also who is cutting the lacquer. It's also who planned and projected, idealized, created the whole system, the whole chain that we're using at Sheffield Labs, obviously. So we have a decent product here, which, as you can see, direct cut to vinyl. It's nice additions. Here you can see also good old Michael Fremer, who was there during the recording. You can also find the video while they were doing this, if you check his channel. And the results are not that good, guys. I think so. This is my opinion. So this is just to say, They're good and bad connected to this type of... I'm sorry, I'm always itching my nose. I don't know why it happens when I'm doing my videos. Excuse me. But it's not drooling. It's just itching because I have an allergy, a dust allergy. Sorry about that. So let's try to see a fewer other labels that are doing this in a good way, I think. Decent way. We have Stockfish, which these are all small labels actually. Stockfish, which does direct to disc, but it also does it in DMM, Direct Metal Master, which is something very cool. We did a video on this. Here's the link. Check it out. Analog Productions, together with all its chain of acoustic sounds, quality pressings, they have also been releasing and re-releasing some excellent albums, direct-to-disc albums. Groove Note Records makes his own. I'm not sure if it's still in activity, Groove Note Records. I'm afraid not. Also, Jack's White Third Man Records. They're releasing a lot of live albums. That's very cool. There's a whole series, if you check, where we have an artist that is performing live with audience, and they're also recording directly to the lacquer in that moment, capturing the full energy, because that's another pro of this type of music, of this type of recording technique. You're not just hanging around doing different takes, a little annoyed, you're thinking about something else. No, you're very focused. You know you can't do a mistake, otherwise you're going to have to throw the lacquer and start over the whole record. So it's all in, like almost in poker. All in, where we have to give our best. So there's high energy, the high passion there. And that's why a lot of these recordings gasp, and reproduce that passion, which I think is something very cool. So they're doing that. Also, APO Records, very good, very high class. Also, their recordings are very high quality. And the Bernie Grudman Brilliance Music and Studios. Well, as you can imagine, there's also others. And if you want, please write here in the comments other labels and specific records if you want that you think that are top-notch quality. I'm interested in that. I'm going to buy them. Your suggestions. I always do that. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this short video. And remember, music is born analog.
Well, guys, if you're enjoying my videos and you're enjoying my channel, please consider to subscribe by clicking the black and white logo here below. Also, don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll never miss an episode and you will become a true member of the analog community.